I'm going to start speaking about in depth Biezrat HaShem, famous Torah from Rabbi Nachman, Torah Azamra, which is Torah Beis, which is Torah Nekuda. And everybody speaks about always the Nekuda about Rabbi Nachman. I want to speak a little bit about the depth of it and where you find it all over Shas and all over the Torah Kedosha. And Biezrat HaShem. Okay. Then he writes in Torah Beis, Da. No. You have to judge every person to the merit. And even somebody who's a complete Rasha, we need to search, and find boy. We have to find in every single person, even in the Rasha Gomer, a little bit of good. That Rabbeinu is writing Rabbeinu's lashon word for word. In this little bit, any Rasha, he's not a Rasha. By day zen, do this little bit of good. That in this you find good. There's a little bit of good. The Dana is the chassidus. Rabbeinu is writing a tremendous yesod in Yiddishkeit. When I grew up as a child and through the years, I always used to hear, what is Dana chassidus? So they gave a mashal. Dana chassidus is, you see somebody driving a car on Shabbos. So you say, what? The reason is his wife's in the back seat and she's about to give birth. That's Dana chassidus. You look at the action and you try to find an answer for the action. There's no wife in the back, or she's not pregnant. You just keep on trying to find. Question is, you see a million cars, but this is what happened, driving to Eilat on Shabbos. What do you do? Each one's going to give birth in Eilat. Like, what are you going to do? So Nachman is very practical. Nachman says, that's not what Dana chassidus is. Dana chassidus is, you don't look at the action and say, you know what? This is this, and this is this, and this is this. That's not Dana chassidus. That's tipshus in a way, because it is what it is. You see a million people driving on Shabbos, you can't find a reason. The answer is that people Mechal Shabbos, Hashem Yishmor. Torah says don't be Mechal Shabbos, because the Torah knew that people have the time to do it, people do it, and we have to try to be Mechazik and ready to be Chayzer B'tshuva. So Dr. Ari Hakadosh, the Yisod is not to look in the action, the Yisod is to look in the person. To find in the person a little bit of good. Yes, he's being Mechal Shabbos. Yes, he fell on this. Yes, he was plugging in his nine. Yes, he spoke Kosher Hara. But himself as a person is a tremendous holy person. Every person. Why? Because last night, when I saw him walking across the street and helping an old elderly woman. And I saw him, and each person, even if I didn't see, I know for a fact he did do something good, because it's not possible that somebody can do one good thing in his lifetime. So that's Rabbeinu's chassidus. We don't look at the Maisa, we look at the person. It's like, Gavel, Chefton, and Reb Chaim, and all that, and Brisk. But you don't look at the Maisa. The Maisa is the Maisa. The person, Shabbos, Shem Yishmor, has to be do tshuva, because that's Hashem Eresh do tshuva. When you look at the person, you say, this person's a beautiful person, beautiful in ruchnius. Because the Rebbe says there's no such a thing as not finding something good in this person. And that little bit of good has nothing to do with anything else, and that little bit is good is what? That is, he's a tzaddik in that thing. That's the yesod. That is the yesod of Rabbi Nachman breslev. In Rosh Beis. Now, so we see that the inner of Rabbeinu is not in the person, is not in the Maisa, it's not in the action. I keep on going this over because we have to understand that to change the mindset that it's in the action, it's not, it's in the person. The action, you take the action for what it is, but you still don't judge him, you judge him on only the good. I once heard Rav Shalom Auer said that he only sees the good in a person. Like, it's not a word that a person doesn't, that he makes as answers. The opposite. He just doesn't focus on any of the bad. He focuses only on the good. And that good, this person is a holy person. And if we trained our minds to do that also, we would. It's not about, it's trained, it's imun, it's strengthening, it's training your mind to focus. And you see a wife, you see a friend, you see, it's so important. I one time gave a shir, Baruch Hashem, by offer by somebody, and I was telling you this is the biggest thing for marriage. I gave the whole Torah, a very all the depth of it and everything. And I said, but Tachas, what's the whole point of this Torah? To give you all the depth and everything, but to bring the Pasha, someone in your house and you're with your wife, the way to have Shalom Bayis is by only finding the good in her. By not seeing any of the bad that she does. Because she says no bad, there's only good. Why? Because you only focused on what's the good. And in yourself, and in your brother, and in your son, in your wife, and your kid, and in Hashem also. You have to be Dana chassidus in Hashem. I remember Rav Koenig once in Tzvas, a big breslev, said it's such a big thing, you have to be Dana chassidus in Hashem also. To look at Hashem only the good always. Of course, Hashem's always good, but even if you're not on that level, go look at all the good. That's Dana chassidus also. You're not looking at the thing that happened, you're looking at only the good. Okay. The Rebbe says, that is the Bechina. Rebbe writes we'll continue with the Lashon Rebbe. And this is the Bechina where it says in Tehillim, Perek Lamed Zayin, v'oid ma'at, and a little bit of, v'oid and more, ma'at, a little bit, v'einu Rosh, and he's not a Rosh, it's Banat al-Makon v'enenu. What does that mean? The Pasuk until Lavan Halach is being Meramez us, like this. What is it v'oid ma'at v'einu Rosh, if it's Banat, and you look and he's not there? If you find a little bit, v'oid ma'at, just a little bit. You see a person, he's a Rosh, you see he does all bad things. But you look a little bit and you find a little bit of good in him, then when you look at him again, you won't find him in that same place because he won't be in the place of Rosh anymore, he'll be a tzaddik because you looked in the place. And now it's coming to tight job that David HaMelech was being Meramez and telling him that how do you find the Nekudah Tova in a person? By judging him a little bit, v'oid ma'at, the little bit, the little Nekudah Tova. And obviously through that little bit and you focus in on that little Nekudah Tova, you focus in on her, the Nekudah Tova, that's all you see. Because the person sees whatever he's thinking on. Like, remember when we speak where you are, where your mind is. Your mind's focused on the good. Good. So when you look back on this person, he's not in the place before. Because you took him out from the good, from the bad, and you brought him into the good. That's a pshat in Tehillim and Perek Lamed Zayin. This is Boinan, V'oid Ma'at Ve'ein Rasho. Because the little bit of good, he's a tzaddik. He's V'nantayah. And you look at him, on the Klim Ve'einenu, and he's not in that same place. Because he changed places. Because what? You took him to the bad, he brought him into the good. He brought him into the good. That's the chiddush of Rabbeinu. The Pasuk is being mazirus to be chassidus, but not like in the action. No, in the action because you go Meshur, you have to find this. No, you focus just on the person when you think good. Remember, it's easy. You look at the person and you see good. Because that's all you see, is the little bit. And the little bit is so large. And it becomes a world in itself. So the Rebbe says, that's a pshat. In V'oid Ma'at Ve'ein Rosho. That you have to find a little bit of good. That there he's not a Rosho. And therefore what? Because even though he's a Rosh, how's it possible, Dr. Malach is saying, how's it possible that a Rosh doesn't have a little bit of good? And in that little bit, you look, this is not ve'enenu al-makoyma. It's not al-makoyma ve'enenu. Because you already brought him out. You brought him out to the good. That's the chish. That's what's on us to do. We're not here to go, the wife's this, the wife, the pregnant, this and that, and then like chassidus in the air, and then they start making chashbonis, and then, no, without chashbonis. So he woke up late today, but you know what, last night, you know what he did? Or you know what, even though he woke up today, but he woke up, he put on tefillin, instead of saying, oh, I woke up late, I might as well go back to sleep. You know? That's the chiddush of the rebbe. So that's the importance of the chassidus. We see from Rabbeinu something very, 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 very deep. Very deep. It sounds poshut, but it's very deep. What does that mean? The Rebbe says, there's no such a thing, and it's right from David HaMelech, even a Russia has a little bit of good. What do you mean? What is this guy? He's a gangster, he's a killer. Where's the good? Where's the good? What? I'm going to find guy 24/7 is stuck in whatever. Shem Yishmor. Teretz is like this. And Be'etzim Nekudah Halachos V'Natan is works on this Nekudah also. Let's bring the Nekudah out. Every Yid in the world has two neshamas. Dr. Balatani speaks about this a lot in the first Parakim in Tanya. Dr. Balatani, that a person has two neshamas. He has Nefesh Elikut and Nefesh Bahamius. We won't get into what Nefesh Bahamius is, but there's two neshamas. Nefesh Elikut is completely good. Even the bad that happens in this world, it cannot touch a Nefesh Elikut. Elikut is completely good. Everybody asks, what do you mean? So why a person becomes bad? What happens? It covers the neshama, but it doesn't actually make dirty the neshama Elikut. Through this we can understand, through the Tanya we can understand what the Rebbe means. Every Rosh knows a Rosh has a Nekud of Elikut in him. He has a Nefesh Elikut, which this Elikut is completely good. It never could be turned from good into bad. So Memela, every single person is always good, because every person has a Nefesh Elikut in him. We look out for Nefesh Elikut in every person, and Kol Shekain, that Minastam, also even the biggest Rosh will find good things. Well, let's say it's very hard for you, but he's in a Neshama Elikut. He has a godliness in him. So that's up to Rabbi Nachman. That's what the oid ma'at ve'ein Rosho. Looking at the Elikut, bringing the Elikut out in him, is Memela, he's not a Rosh, but it's not that, and then you find he's in a different place right away. Because you're focusing on the Elikut, and the Elikut is everything, is Ein Sof. So the Balatani could be made, we can understand what the Rebbe means. Be'etzem, this is something amazing because you see, and we know that the Neshama L'kus, the Baal Tani's Masber over there, and the Rebbe, I mean, all chassidus from the Baal Shem, Nefesh L'kus is always burning for Hashem. You know, Volson, the person does a virus, he blocks the burning, he makes, like, you know, screens, Masechot, he makes screens, and not Masechot, Masechim, and Masechot also, he makes masks, and masks up everything, because it darkens it. But once you get back into the root, it's only good. So be'etzim, Zok the Rebbe, you know what the Rebbe says? The Rebbe's Chiddush on Rishmei basis even more. Let's take it another step. Zok the Heilige Rebbe, when a person brings it up, and he brings up the Nekuda Toiva, and he looks at the other person, and that's all he brings up from the person is, wow, it's a Lukus. He's machzir that person the tshuva, even if the other person doesn't have a serious tshuva. Can you imagine the person has no serious tshuva? This person is stuck in no man's land. By me, this easiness, because it's easy. We just have to start getting rid of our own egos and all that. But the actual avoid of Nekuda Toiva is not hard. Looking at the Lukus and saying he's a Likus, he has an Neshama Lukus which burns for the Eibishter 90 degrees burning all day, 100 degrees, and so. What happens? I'm machzir with tshuva. So you see from the Rebbe such something like Leil Piteva. We see something that you could find. We just said you look at, he's the biggest Roshel, but he has a Likus. You could be machzir the person tshuva even if he has no serious tshuva. And one day he wakes up, one to tshuva, and he doesn't even know why. It's because you know what? The other guy, Yenim, the other guy woke up and looked at you and found good, and you don't even know that. But Min Hashamayim, there was a brain waves went through and came into you. It's a ruchni is the kazach. You see something. First of all, that the neshama never gives up because the neshama is always wants the Eibishter. Always the neshama. The Gemara says that the neshama wants to leave the body every second because it wants to go back to its source. The Eibishter has to keep on keeping it back into the body. That's why people, they feel very faint when they daven and things like that. And people want to know why. The feeling is very posh because the person, the neshama is leaving. Because the davening, you come so source. That's why people get like weak from davening and learning. Torah is machisha. Why? Because the Torah brings the person so close to the source that the neshama is partly leaving. That person gets weak, so I just keep on putting back in. That's almost a chat. Torah is machisha. Machisha is the koiches, makes weak. Also, I remember somebody's telling me about he was saying Tikkun Klali. It's not somebody who's living in no man's land. He's a regular guy. He said, I've almost felt like my neshama was leaving me by Tikkun Klali. First time I went to Rabbeinu. I said, I understand, because that's what happens. The neshama has such an opening to ruchnis. It just wants to fly back, like usually, even more than usual. But the Eibush has Rahman. So by you finding that Elikus in him, the neshama in him wakes up and wants so much. That's why I always, I don't understand the shita of throwing stones at people who are driving a Shabbos. You know, people, what's the pshat? People throwing stones, because I have the shita. The opposite. Forget it. So he's being machal Shabbos. It's terrible, but he's being machal Shabbos. So find your k'retayva, be machzir b'tshuva. It's the easiest way. We have to come with all your shitas and mamela what is all machlokes and everybody hates each other. You're making from one machlokes, you make another machlokes, and this and that brings up merivis and koirach and edasa and all these types of things. Well, it's going to help, and you see, it doesn't help. It just makes them angry. But if you go to the window and say good Shabbos, I saw, you know, and you find the kuss in him. It's beautiful. You be machzir t'tshuva. How many guys in yeshiva? I mean, so many bali tshuva. We don't know. One day we want to do tshuva. You know why you wanted to do tshuva? Because when somebody looked at you and found a likus in you, you wanted to do tshuva. Because the neshama was mishpia, it woke you up. That's the pshat. Now, through this word, Agav, I wanted to say azah pshat. I wanted to say azah chiddush, Baruch Hashem. I said it to a couple of shivas and they said it's good. So otherwise I wouldn't say it. But a few big people have said they think that's the pshat. So it's a good pshat. So we'll say it over. Biezrat HaShem. Baruch Hashem, Hashem was made my eyes just to come up with this. By Hilchas Chanukah, we have a Zah Shayla. We have a Kasha from Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef has a Pashta Kasha. Why is there 8 nights of Chanukah? The first night wasn't a mace. Because when they found the oil, they had enough for the first night, so that's not a mace. The mace is 7, not 8. So they have a sefer now, it's about 700 terutzim every year they add on. Terutzim on the Remes, chassidus, Gemorahs, Rambam, everything. I want to say like this. But Nosson says, and the Sfasemis of Ger, the Sfasemis they go with the same Mahalach. State in the Gemara, in Shabbos, the Sugi of Chanukah, and the famous mice of what was they found? They found what? They found a little pach shem. They found a little jar of oil with the seal of Kohen Gadol, which is very important. We'll get to it a little bit in a second. And what? And the Melo, they lit the menorah just for the background, and it went 8 days. So Tasha is, but the first day is not a days. Zok the Sfasemis of Rav Nosson in Kuti Aloch, the Pach Shem they found, is the little bit that they found in themselves. What happened? The Yidden were in a terrible matziv. They became Hellenists and all the types of things. They and kfira, and they got into the whole gym, working out. The rebbe talked about working out, all these things. But the Gemara's matziv that they went into the lifestyle philosophy in the Greeks. And then what happened? On Chanukah they found themselves again. Through the pach shemen, for the little bit of oil, with the tzaddik, with the kohen gadol seal. Who's the Kohen Gadol? The Kohen Gadol is the Tzaddik Amiti. They found through the Tzaddik Amiti the Nekudas Tovos in them, because who finds the Nekudas Tovos in another person? The Tzaddik Emes. The Tzaddik Emes finds the Nekudas Tovos. He looks in the Pach Shemen, he finds the Pach Shemen, and no matter what, each Yid is able to find the Pach Shemen. We find the Pach Shemen, we found our Pach Shemen by Chanukah. What happened? What happened? We won all the wars, we won everything, and we went all the way up. What is that? That's Leil Piteva. What happened was, like the Rebbe is saying, through a Tzaddik, through the Chashmonoim, getting up to Tzaddikim, they were Ma'ir and us, the Pach Shemen, and we found the Pach Shemen with the Kohen Gadol, which is everything together. And Memela, what happened? Something Leil Pita, we end up doing tshuva in one day. Boom! We did tshuva after years of being stuck. Because that's a chiddush of Rabbi Nachman. The Rebbe is saying something, it's not natural. The person is a Rasha, he's being Mechal Shabbos, but you don't throw a stone, you say Good Shabbos to him. Idiots, don't throw stones. What are you, normal? Say to the person Good Shabbos nicely, you have a better chance of being Master Tshuva from a simple point of view, logical, and according to the Rebbe. The male is loyal piteva. What happened? Zochtin Kabbalah. What is a number that's loyal piteva? 8. Because 7, there's only 7 days in a week. And there's 7 this and all the 7 and 7 spheres. But 8 is not. 8 is higher. We keep 8 days because the whole Pach Shem was something that was loyal piteva. The number 8 is being meramis on the whole thing. What's the piteva? That the Yidden found a little bit of good in themselves and were able to go up to the highest of heights. And what happened? Right away after they won all the wars, all the spirituals, everything. That's what Pshan the Rebbe. That's what I want to say Pshan the Rebbe is. The Rebbe is saying that when I look into another Yid and I find him and I bring him back to Tshuva because of my what? Because of my little ego that I throw away and I find, I'm machzim to Tshuva through derech loyal piteva, that's 8, and that's why by 8 days. And that's why the Biezrat Kasha's answer. Why 8 days? Because the Pshat is 8, or his Maram is loyal piteva. That's why I want to say Pshat, the Teretz onto the Biezrat Kasha. Also, you always find, who was the Saneger of Am Yisrael? Biezrat HaShem. Saneger was what? Was the one that defender. He always defended Am Yisrael, right? The famous Maisel. Somebody came to the Biezrat HaShem, saw that there was first 2 Maises. We'll say 2 quick Maises. Biezrat HaShem said one time Biezrat HaShem was walking in the street and he saw a Yid do an Averos. And he couldn't find one answer. And it was killing him. Because Biezrat HaShem was the king of Saneger. He was always fine defending Am Yisrael, his love for Am Yisrael. And he said, he turned to Hashem, he said, Hashem, help me find something. I can't live another minute without finding something good for a Yid. Afterwards, he realized, after he was killing himself, he found his upshot. He said, you know what he said? He found the Nekudas Tovos. He said, if I was in his place, it would have been a lot worse than what he did. He looked at the person's matziv, at the person, and he said, the person is going through so much in his life, and this is the only thing he did wrong. He said, if I was in his place, I would have done a lot more wrong. He said, tzaddik, that he only did this much and not this much. That's in the Nekudas Tovos. That's a Rebbe Yitzchak. Another Maisel Rebbe Yitzchak, the famous Maisel. Somebody was walking before Pesach, and he asked the Yid, and he saw the Yid. It was before Pesach time, and he saw a Yid running around with weird. He wanted to sell certain things, and according in the government, in that time, the government said it's illegal. It was illegal to sell those things. So Rebbe asked, "What are you're running around?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm scared." He ran away. He ran to his house to hide or whatever. But he asked the Yid before. He said, "Do you have any chametz in your house?" He said, "Of course not. What do you mean chametz?" So the Rebbe said, "So it's awesome. I clean my house. I don't want." And he said, "Hashem, look at you. It's true. Your child. Your child knows the government catches him, they'll kill him. And he's not scared. He has it. You, that he has to have a munah on you. And what? He doesn't have a crumb because that's the amunah on you." That's what Rebbe Yitzchak. What did Rebbe Yitzchak do? He didn't look at the mice of the person. He didn't look at the mice of the person is walking around something against the fichot, which is also dino machazatino. You have to keep telling the law of the land. Rebbe Yitzchak said, look at this tzaddik. Look at him. That was a Rebbe Yitzchak. That's why he was called the Saneger. Because he went with this Mahalach of Rabbi Nachman. You look at the person always and find the person. That's the vote. That's what Rebbe Yitzchak did. Dafka, something very, very, very interesting. Rabbeinu starts his Torah, da. Da. What's da? Zohar Anash, the older people, the tzaddikim from the generations in breslev, they said whenever Rabbeinu said da and then he said the Torah, we always see Moishich this Torah from the Olam Atzilus. We said a couple of weeks when we gave share, the Holy we said Abiyah. There's 4 Olamas. There's Atzilus, there's Bria, Yetzira, and Asiyo. The highest is Atzilus. We said above Atzilus is Ak, but that gives feed into the four. Atzilus is the highest of Atzilus. Do you understand what that means? That means Rabbeinu is saying that if you keep the down the chassidus, you're tying yourself into a Torah that's doing Atzilus. So besides all these things we're doing, we have such a chance to reach into the highest of worlds. By what? By one thing. He did this, but you know what? Johnny, I love the guy. When he saw my mother, he asked my mother if he can help her with the baggage, with the packages and the bags. That's Atzilus. That's all Atzilus. It's once in a lifetime you can touch Atzilus. It's not worth it. I don't know. I'd like to know what's going on Mother Atzilus. So I think it's, so this is what they say from Anish, that the Rebbe means down. Whenever the Rebbe says, look at the Ram, there's a Messiah that means that he's saying, bringing it from the highest of worlds, this chiddush down. Now, Be'etzim, another thing we see from Rabbeinu is something very amazing. Well, besides what we just spoke about, is another thing, that through this we machzir the whole into tshuva. It's not telling the person, it's telling you. You go around on every person you find, and you down the chassidus in him, you have a kach to machzir the whole world to tshuva. Everybody says, it's hard today, it's all that. To the Rebbe's Eitzah, I just found you an Eitzah. Rebbe says, what do? Look at the good point of him and do tshuva, wake him up. So it's unbelievable. So it goes back to the same thing. If why throwing stone? What are you doing? Here you have a chance. You wake up as a neshama, and you can do it, and everybody will wake up. So, I don't understand the whole thing. Feed Rebbe, we have the best dates over here. You look at the person, you look at the good. Like the government says, you look at the little bit, and there is on a Rosh Hashanah. What? He machzir the tshuva, and that's how he comes back to his roots. Be'etzim Rabbeinu himself, Rabbeinu in Chilek Aleph, look at the Ram in Torah Gimel. Rabbeinu, I'm going to say his words. I'm going to read word for word. Rabbeinu says, "Ki kfar gila lanu chachamenu, our chacham were megalat to us. Shebechol dvarim gashmim, and all gashmius things yochel inside behem elikus. You can find. You find that you can. You can find because it is there 100%. There's elikus in every single thing. Ki b'lo elikus en lem shulchias v'kim klal. Because without the elikus and these things, there will be no life in it. Now, this has to do like the Rizal. Once the Rizal is Megala to the world, that in every single thing in the world, even in Daimim, a stone, there's an neshama in it. Otherwise, the stone would have no key in it. There's no such a thing. I believe it's been there from the head, from the biggest rabbanim of breslev before the last generation said that you can't. A person will be able to picture. We have the picture of Levi Yitzchak. We could show the island pictures of Levi Yitzchak. I have a picture. Okay, and then maybe later if you find the picture. The point is, Kadosh just to see. It's not. It's somewhere over there. Just to see the picture of his face. As that tzaddik. Levi Yitzchak said that a person will be able to survive 1 second without Hashem, because without a likus, that's the energy. Everybody says the energy is it's a likus. The likus. Person has for 1 second without a likus. The same thing in the dem. The same thing the Rizal says and everything. So what's the pshat? I want to tie us in back to what we said about Tanya. Because in Neshama likus, I don't know what it is. I apologize. Because in Neshama likus, what's the pshat? What do we have over here? A person is in Kuratayva. Because the likus in each thing is the Nikudah Tova, and you can't have something without a likus, otherwise you wouldn't survive. So okay. Now, another big nafkamino between what Rabbeinu says that the Dalekaf Schus is not the mice, it's in the person, and what the Velt says. A lot of people in the Velt, I always learned this about the action. Is the biggest nafkamino is life. Why? If you want to say the pshat is in Dalna Kavschus, you look at the action, so that only applies to somebody else because you don't know what he's doing. But if the word is in the person, then who does Dalna Kavschus come first? Yourself. Because even though you know what you did, even more so, now that you know you did an Aveira, you know you did something, what's the worst thing a person can do is fall into Atzus. We said what? Rabbeinu says the biggest Aveira is, the Yitzhak doesn't want the Atzus, doesn't want the Aveira, what the Atzus. What does the Rebbe Abudim Pshishcha said? I one time heard him say, Shmiel. From Rebbe Abudim Pshishcha, he says that the Gehenna is on the Atzus, because the Atzus now will hold you back from Tshuva. And Tshuva could what? Tshuva could make it into a mitzvah. Shaila is, the person falls, he's plugging his wrists, he's plugging his einayim, Shmir Shabbos not perfect, everybody every second can fall. But if you're down the kafschus in yourself, I'm not likus. I'm not likus. What do I care? You can't. You can never take it away from me. You mainly won't fall to atzvus. Zok the Rebbe, Azamra down the kafschus, nikudah toivel is in you. Because also for finding in the other person, because when you start training yourself and looking into yourself, you find in others also. Avad, it's two avoidance, but it's really one, because when you work into yourself, and which is the most important, you don't fall, and you mechazik yourself, you learn how to mechazik yourself, you learn how to mechazik other people by looking at them and finding them, you'll be able to mechaz the whole to tshuva. That's the chiddush of Rabbi Nachman. The chiddush of Rabbi Nachman is that dal mekav schos is one thing. It's okay, I fell. But I'm a likus. You can't take that away from me. Because like we said from the Baal HaTanya, a likus never wants to do bad, and it doesn't do, and you never could dirty it. You only could hide it. You could hide it if you do tshuva, you reveal it right back. Right back. There's a famous mashal that Rizal says, what's a yid? A yid's turned into a piece of gold. You find gold in a pile of dirt. So the Rizal, the gold is gold. It never changed. Its form of gold. You just have to clean it and wipe it away. I wanted to add on to the Rizal. What do you mean just wipe it away? What? You wipe it away? It's better than it was even before. When a yid falls and he picks himself up, he's even higher than he was before he fell. But you know what? The famous word. Aliyah what? You read the Tachas Aliyah, Dr. Rizal, you're a piece of gold still. When a person, let me ask you a question. Before you found the gold, it was shining, but then it got dirty, and then you literally worked on it, it's even nicer than it was before it. That's a yid. Find the Nekuda Toiva. Wipe away the dirt to find the Nekuda Toiva. Zokter Rabbi Bar Nachman. Famous Rabbi Bar Nachman. What's it? What's the Tikkun Olam? Adam Rishon did the Chet. What happened when he did the Chet? He was Mekalcha the world. He made the world dirty. Zokter Rabbi Nachman. Now that we're cleaning it up, the world's going to be better after the Tikkun, after we clean it up, after we're attacking the world and all the kalim and all the insights that we spoke about. The world's going to be in a better state, a better place than it was before. Other we should do the Chet even. Because by us finding the Nekudas Tovas, we make ourselves better even than before. And then through that, we come and we go find the Nekudas Tovas in somebody else. And we find the good. And we're not like these Rebbeim who throw kids out of yeshivas because of this, and then destroy kids' lives like they do today. And they destroy our lives and they destroy other people's lives. Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe gave us back. As the Rebbe found, what? The Rebbe found is this chiddush. Do you find the good in each kid? And you find the good in each person. And no matter how many fell, you hung out with the girl, you did this. These are small things. I don't want to talk about the things that us grow, other people can go crazy from this world. But we fell and pick ourselves up. And we pick ourselves up. That is king to the oilom. That is fixing the world. That's fixing Adam Rishon. Like we said, what? What did we say to Adam Rishon? Rebbeinu Shalom asked Adam Rishon, Ayeko, where are you? Rashi asked, what do you mean where are you? The other Rebbeinu Shalom knows where he is. So he said one pshat is because Rashi said so he didn't want to startle him. But it's choice or something. What's pshat? We have to understand what Rashi means. But okay, another pshat is because he wanted to say that you had no bad before. Now you have bad. So look where you fell. But I wanted to say a different thing. Ayeko is what Rebbeinu says in Yud Beis. When somebody falls, how does he come back to the Eibishter? He screams to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Ayeko, where are you? But how do you get that scream to Eibishter to come and ask him, Ayeko, where are you? Through finding the good in yourself. Rebbeinu Shalom was telling another nation, you fell, but now you want to fix the world and make it even better and come back to me? Ayeko. But you know what Ayeko is? Other nation has to understand. You know how to get back to Ayeko? Through screaming. But how do I come to screaming? I'm so depressed. What? I don't get... Nekuda Toiva. Nekuda Toiva in yourself and then in others. That is our word. This is what we need in this world. The Rebbe is giving us koyach, that anytime you fall, you understand that the falling is just, you can turn it into better. You can turn it. I'll tell you even better. I'll tell you even better. Zoch the Gemara in Yuma, Yesh Lakish says a memra, that if somebody does an Aveira and does tshuva, he turns the Aveira, Yichya, he will still live. What does that mean he'll still live? Rashi explains, even on the Aveiras, he did, he'll turn it around. The Gemara says turn to Schuyos, and Rashi says even the Aveiras. You see that from Aveira, the Gemara says, we know the very thing, the Gemara from Aveira, a person can make it that he what? He has a schus now. That's why it says, because tzaddikim never fell into a place where they could turn that thing into a mitzvah. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't keep the mitzvahs in Eretz Yisrael, a tzaddik can be Makai mitzvahs about Shuvas can, because Shuvah fell into a place where the tzaddik never did. Who says this memra? Rish Lakish. Zok the Gemara in Bamitzin, all the Gemaras are Rish Lakish. Who's Rish Lakish? He's a bandit. Lakish, the head of the bandits. What happened? He saw a B'yochanan, he thought he saw a woman, a beautiful woman, his taiva. But you know how he became a Baal Tshuva? Because he saw the taiva and he jumped over, he couldn't jump back because he felt weak. Why? Because the Gemara says, what's the story? He jumped there, he saw his B'yochanan saw the potential in him. He saw the potential that how do you see the potential? That a person for such time could do such a thing. Imagine we could do for Torah. He's looked in the Kurat Torah for him. Rabbi Yochanan looked in the Kurat Torah for Rish Lakish. What happened to Rish Lakish? Rish Lakish did tshuva. We started learning Torah. He couldn't jump back because the Torah The Torah weakened. And why did it weaken him? Because the Shem wanted to blow up. Wanted to fly away. What happened? Afterwards, he became Rabbi Yochanan's student, and they became Chavrusa. That when he was nifter Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan became a shulga. The Gemara says that the Chacham had to daven. The Chacham had to daven for Rish Lakish. So when Rish Lakish was nifter, the darker that he came to, Rish Lakish was nifter of the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan became crazy. The Gemara says he became Mushah. He had nobody to learn with. So the Rabbanan came and they davened on him. They should be nifter to go back to Rish Lakish. That's where Rish Lakish came because Rabbi Yochanan looked into the Kurat Torah for Rish Lakish. Zogt what? What? Zogt the Gemara. He became Rish Lakish. Zogt Rish Lakish. I went through such a thing. I was in the lowest of places. But because Rabbi Yochanan found the Kurat Torah in himself, that what? Rabbi Yochanan found the Kurat Torah himself because he was a tzaddik. Tzaddik amiti. He found it in me. And then I found it in myself. And I was able to become Rish Lakish. And I'm telling you, all the things I went through became schuyos. So all of you could do the same thing. The Gemara, who says this, remember? The one who could say this, remember? Because like we said, Tzaddik Amar can't say this, remember? He was in this place. Rish Lakish was in that place. In the place where he went, the whole thing came because he had a tiger for women. He became Rish Lakish. This Gemara fits in beautifully to what we said before. Because like the Rebbe said in Lama Gimel, like the Balatanya says, like we said we'll tie it into something we said last week. In every single thing in the world there's Elikos. So how's that bad? In the world's up to Mekubal because in the shorish of everything is good. Everything's Eresh Elikos. Comes down, the Klippas grab onto it, and Tzirufi Oisius. But the shorish of everything is good. Zokt of Nachman in Sichas Aran Torah Gimel, Rav Nachman writes something, what? He says, Tachlis Yediyah, the Tachlis of knowing is, Shaloinena, that you know that you don't know. What does that mean? That means when a person comes to the highest Madriga that he can't in that Madriga, he sees what? He sees that this is he came to the full potential that he sees. He knows that he knows nothing. Because Hashem is Ein Sof. Zok the Pasuk, Hashem said, what? Hashem writes on Moshe Rabbeinu writes on himself in the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu, Onam Mikol Adam Mikol Adamo. Moshe Rabbeinu is the biggest Onam. So the biggest Onam, how do you write it about yourself? Because Moshe Rabbeinu Taka came to this place where he came, he finished everything, he saw him nothing. He was able to write, I'm nothing. And he knew nothing. Zok of Nasin Hilchas Purim. Sorry, Hilchas Nefil Sapayim about Purim. Zok of Nasin, steht in the Gemara. In Al-Locha. That why breslev? They don't drink the hoya, but Purim they go Meshugah. Everybody drinks, they go Meshugah in Purim. Zok of Nasin, because the person has to drink. Why? Because he has to become a Bechin of Ad Lo Yoda. What is Ad Lo Yoda? Bechin of Lo Yoda, that I came to the highest place, to the shorish of the thing, but I know that I don't know anything. What's the shorish of the place of Purim? Haman and Mordechai. Because in the shorish of Haman and Mordechai, the same thing. In the shorish are good. When somebody says, but Haman's a Rasha. Haman's a Rasha only in this, ultimately, Ishtalshalos is a Rasha. In the Ishtalshalos, but in the shorish, everything, we just said for a couple, everything is good. Zoktiv Nasin, Tachlis Yediyah, what is Ad Lo Yoda? To come to the Tachlis Yediyah, you have to reach a shorish, to the alcohol, because the alcohol brings you into the state of that mind, like the Rebbe said, opens up your das, and then you come to Lo Yoda. What's Lo Yoda? That everything is good in the shorish, right? And what do we say? We brought a right to this. I brought you a right. I was thinking about Haman is the same word as Mon. Mon is Meichel Deruchni. Meichel Deruchni. And we spoke about, the first time we spoke about it, we said an amazing thing. We said, what was the whole Avera of Miguel? What happened? How did it come? Because they ate. They ate from the Suda of Achasherish. Because the Chilo is a Bechin of Chil is Eitz Adas, which is Bechin of Poikim in the mind. What does a Malik come? What does a Malik want to do? They want you to be they want you to be Mekalkal in the Das. They come to Sfekas, which is Das. Haman wanted to come and do the same thing. But Mon, the name Mon is Meichel Deruchni. They don't want you to come to Meichel Deruchni. Which they had, why? Because the Yidden were living in such a state in the midbar of Ruchni, they had Mon. But we said, if we this, it makes sense. Because the Haman is really, Shirish is all good. So Mon, the Meichel Ruchni, is straight from the Shirish. That's why it doesn't exist in this world. Only the Yidden 150th, whatever, the 49th. But Haman is bad, but he's not bad in the Shirish. He's good. Because that's the thing, every single thing, even the biggest, everything is you can find good, because everything is the Eibishter, everything's like Kosak there, and then that's what Rish Lakish is saying, when you do tshuva, you're returning to the source. What's tshuva? The word tshuva is shuv, to return. Where are you returning? You're returning above the ishtalshalos. Tshuva was before the world. Before the world, everything was good. Everything was chin of oreganos. What's oreganos, we said? Oreganos is the life that's akalat tova. Zok Rish Lakish, everything becomes chuz, and I could say that because I went through that. And we could all say that also. Zok Rav Nasin, where does the Kurat Torah have its Koyach? On Shabbos. Why? Zok Rav Nasin writes this in Lukutei Halachos, Because on Shabbos, the klippos have no koyach whatsoever. What happens is when a person does a mitzvah, sometimes on the regular mitzvah, the klippos can attach themselves onto the mitzvah. That's what we say. Every Nikasha attaches tzaddik because the tzaddik is above that. But on Shabbos, every person has the koyach to what? To find the Nekuda Tova, and there's nothing there. There's no klippos. And then through Shabbos helps the whole week. That's why we say Shabbos is the first day of the week in Yiddishkeit. Because Shabbos has to give koyach the whole week. That's why also in davening we say Hayom Shabbos Kodesh, Hayom Rishon Shabbos Kodesh. Why do we add on what's up to Shabbos? Because Rishon, the first day, we say in davening has to come from the koyach of Shabbos. That's what I wanted to say. Zohar of Nosin, what happens on Shabbos? Through Shabbos, it gives koyach to find the Nekuda Tova the whole week. Hold on. That's why also, I was thinking, Zohar of Nachman, in Torah days later, that through somebody finds the Nekuda Tova, he comes to songs, Negunim. What's the hezbollah? When Nachman says, what do you do when you find the good from the bad, from the psalus from the bad? You cut the good from the bad, which is the lashon of zemer, cutting. What's the lashon of zemer also? Singing. Zohar of Nachman, when you cut away from the bad and the good, you also end up in Negunim. That's the Nekuda Tova. Why do we sing on Shabbos then? Because on Shabbos is Bichin of Nekuda Tova, Bichin of Negunim, I wanted to say. That's why it's miris. Why? Because it's miris. Because lashon of cutting away the good from the bad. Because Shabbos is the Bichin of finding only the good. Because Shabbos is all good. Shabbos is Kulei Tov. Zohar Nasa through Shabbos, I can find the whole week through Kulei Tov. That's why also Ayom Yom Shabbos Kodesh, and then we all say Yom Rishon Shabbos Kodesh, because the week it comes from the gunim of the Shabbos, and that's why Rabbeinu, we always know it says Rabbeinu was the biggest salvim. One thing Rabbeinu was makbid on. One thing, Zohar, the Talmidim used to say the Rebbe was makbid on Zmir Shabbos. If he didn't sing, he was very makbid. So one shot is because the Rebbe was like the Tmim Sapshitas of Yadis, meaning that when people say, oh, I have to sing, they made little of it. The Rebbe said, you know what Zmir Shabbos is? But wait, this is another shot, because the Rebbe was saying. The Rebbe said the most important two Torahs of the Rebbe said you have to go your whole life. Rav said I heard from the Rebbe you have to go your life is Azamra and Aye. Aye is where, but it's really warm because how do you get to Aye? We just said through Azamra. Zohar of Nosin, that's the Rebbe we said. Why is the Rebbe makbid on Shabbos that sings miris? Because we just said what's miris? Miris is the Nekuda Tova. Is the Nekuda Tova that person has to find the Nekuda Tova in himself, and that's the Nigunim, and that's all in your Shabbos. What Shabbos Kulei Tov? What Shabbos Kulei Tov? Kulei Tov is the Nekuda Tova. I'm all good. But weiter, let's even go weiter. What did we just say? We just said that before the world was all Araganos. That's why it was all good. So the Shalshlis, the Sherish, everything is all good. I'll bring you. What Shabbos? Shabbos Mein Olam Haba. Right? What's Mein Olam Haba? What's Olam Haba? We spoke about what's Olam Haba. We said Olam Haba is the chiyuv that everything is good. Shteit in Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says that Paskins always forms that after Mashiach comes Olam Haba, the next day we're only going to say Baruch Atah V'Ametiv to everything. We're going to say thank you because we see eye to eye, everything is for the good. What does that mean? Why? Because the Aragonos, Zohar of Nosin, and all the chassidus and Ramchal, that Aragonos is the good, that it's only good. And that's why it's for Tzadikei Emes, because Tzadikei Emes, they always found only the good. That's why they're right for the good of time, and that's why they're right for the Aragonos. Aye, nothing like Torah. Look at this. Hold on, let's go weiter. Zohar, why is it Shabbos then? Because Shabbos is Me'en Aragonos. And what's Aragonos? Aragonos is everything is good. The good of Torah. Memelo, that Aragonos gives koyach to the whole Shabbos. That is why Rish Lakish is able to say everything comes to chassidus, because everything in the beginning is really Aragonos. It gets caught on. But if you do tshuva, and what Shabbos? Shabbos is tshuva. Shabbos and tshuva are the same ICS. Ha-Shabbos is tshuva. Why? Zohar Gemara says, it's a Geval, Zohar Gemara. When a person, if the Am Yisrael kept 2 Shabbosim in a row, the Mashiach would come. We just said that Shabbos became a tshuva, and what's Mashiach? Aragonos. So Shabbos is what? Is tshuva. Why 2 Shabbosim Zohar of Nachman and Torah Vov? That a person does tshuva, he has to do tshuva on that tshuva. A person always has to go higher, the next madrega. 2 Shabbosim is equivalent to the tshuva al tshuva. Now when a person does tshuva, even in that tshuva, he can go higher tshuva. What's the pshat? But how does a person do tshuva, we just said? Through the Nekuda Tova. So the whole thing of Shabbos and tshuva is based on the Nekuda Tova, which is based on Aragonos, Memelo tshuva al tshuva, which is 2 Shabbosim, Memelo b'zech the Mashiach, because Mashiach is Aragonos. That is the importance of the Nekuda Tova, because that will bring Mashiach, because that's Aragonos itself. And that's 2 Shabbosim, and that's 2 tshuva. That is what the Rebbe is coming to tell you. And that's the shtalshlos, that everything in the Sheresh is good. Shteit and Pirkei Avos. Sur meirav asay toiv. In Tehillim, David HaMelech. Pirkei Avos, everything, Sur meirav asay toiv. Zohar the Baal Shem Tov. Sur meirav asay toiv. But today, no, just do good. Just do good. Fill yourself up with good. Why? Because there's 2 neshamas. The neshamas on the right and the left. And both neshamas are fighting because they want to take over. So if you give good, if you give koyach to the neshama the good, then you're just going to make him stronger and he'll be able to eat up the bad. Dr. Baal Shem Tov, today we don't deal with the bad, we just do good, do good. Dr. Rebbe and Chaim Eran, I'll read his Loshen in Sicha Tov Mem Zayin, Omer Rabbeinu answered, and he said, Ata asok oisei toiv, do good, v'oisek v'avdosei be'emesu, shetasik v'tatmu, v'avidus yisbarach, azeh atovi shara v'aram emeli this battle. When you continue just doing the good, and the emes and the ra will be mevatel by itself, because that's the Rebbe saying, just do good, just find the kudah toivus in yourself, do good. We'll say better, what? The kash is, so what's Somer Rav Asei Toiv? So the Baal Shem Tov said, I'll tighten it up. We could even fit into this pshat. Somer Ra, take yourself away from dealing with the bad, Asei Toiv. Not deal with the bad and get rid of the bad. Somer Ra means take yourself away from the bad. Take yourself away from that and deal just with the Kudas Toivus in yourself. Memela, what? We just said, Avla Pitavi, you become on the highest level. Now was the Bechina of Shmoyna, of the 8th of Chanukah. That's what the Rebbe means. What does it say in Pirkei Avos? Right? What does it say? It's one thing. How do you buy your friend? What does Knei Gemara says with das? What's das? Das is to find the Kudah Toiv on him. Use your das to find the Kudah Toiv in each person. Do that, you'll be Knei Chaver. Zogt in Shulchan Aruch. Zogt in Shulchan Aruch. In Hilchos Rosh Hashanah, they say to Paskins that who is the chassidus, somebody's Merutlah Kol, that everybody likes. Who's everybody? Who is the person everybody likes? Not a person with money. A person who always finds the good. I always like to be the guy who finds the good in me. I feel good. That is why. That's why. What do we say? What does a person do when he finds the good? Zmiris nikunim. That's the chazan. What's a chazan? Chazan gets up and he sings because the chazan gets up and sings. Why? Because he's the one who finds the kudas toivus in each person. Through that, he's megal and nikunim, and he goes up and sings. Zocht the Shulchan Aruch, somebody who's merutlah kol. What's merutlah kol? That's v'avi damas kom kaf schos keach chaver. That's the person who merutlah kol. And then he says also the Shulchan Aruch adds on Ari Hakadosh. He says keach chaver. And then he says also that he shouldn't hate you. He's not saying two things. He's saying that what merutlah kol memela, nobody will hate you and you won't hate anybody because everybody loves everybody who finds good in them and you always hate and you're the person who finds everybody. You love everybody. All works out good. And we said that's Azamra. Azamra is cutting away the good for the bad, which is the kudah toiv, and that's also Azamra singing. So we asked the kasha. So we asked the kasha, this famous kasha, what do you mean? Why is there singing in Rosh Hashanah? It's a day of seriousness, and people sing, and they even the chassidim dance on Rosh Hashanah. Well, because that's what we want, because we want to find the kudas toivus on Rosh Hashanah. Why do we want to find the kudas toivus on Rosh Hashanah? Because if the Eibush is judging us Rosh Hashanah, how does the Eibush judge us? The way we judge others. So if we judge everybody else to down the kaf schos, the Rebbe would do also the same thing. Will be judged everybody down the kaf schos. Zok lady it's like Barditch. What is kitzel, mat? The pasuk says that we're like a shadow. What do you mean we're like a shadow? The Rebbe judges us like we're a shadow. What does that mean? Just like a shadow does exactly what you do, the Rebbe does exactly what you do. So the way you act is the way the Rebbe acts with you. So we down Rosh Hashanah and sing because singing represents that it's down the kaf schos. The Rebbe should be down us the kaf schos. That is the pshat in Hilchos Rosh Hashanah. Why? State in Rashi HaKodesh, why was Dinah punished? Because Yaakov Avinu was punished with Dinah. Why? Because he put her in the box. Rashi says, what do you mean? Anybody would have done it. Yaakov says, why? Because he would have found the good in the Esav Rasha. She would have found the good in the Esav Rasha. She got punished. What's the name of Dinah? Dan Ko. The way Hashem judges. This pshat, boom. Dan Ko. What's Dan Ko? How does Rebbe Hashem judge us? He says, Rebbe Hashem is a savonis, rachmanis. Yaakov Avinu should have known that Dinah would have found in kudah toiv and Esav, so how can you be meneah to bring somebody else to tshuva? That's a pshat. I'll bring another raya down the kaf schos. State by Yosef HaTzadik was going down to Mitzrayim. State where the Arabs were carrying, it says over there, the Ishmaelim were carrying all types of spices. Dr. Asher, the Torah is coming to tell you that the Ebshad, Rachmanas, and Yosef HaTzadik, that usually they have neft, oil, and gas, and you had their perfume, so it wasn't, because the Ebshad wanted the Tzadik had a good smell. He wants to have good smell. Let me ask you a question. Yes, Tzaddik is naked, being being raped. Who knows what they do? He's beautiful. They're these killers and gladiators. Do I know what? He cares about perfume? Let's not say him, if he was being in bondage and all that perfume. The guy's in the sea of Atzvus. He's going into a bar for 12 years. He could imagine it. It wasn't so far from his mom that he was going to jail. What else was going to be done? A slave, jail. But what? The Torah is coming to tell you, Yosef HaTzadik. Who is Yosef HaTzadik? Yosef HaTzadik always, what does it say? Shem Hashem was on his mouth always. What does it mean? He always had Hashem in his mind. Yosef HaTzadik said to himself, yes, I'm going down to Mitzrayim. Yes, everything is bad, looking bad. But I know the Eibush is with me. Because why the Eibush? The Eibush obviously brought this for a reason to show me, Yosef, look for Nekudah Toivus. Yosef HaTzadik found the Nekudah Toivus in his matziv. Yosef Tzaddik found him. That's how he became Yosef Tzaddik. And you know why it says? You know when it comes to Yosef Tzaddik said he came out from the bar. So they asked, but they asked, where's the Nar Ivri? Yosef Tzaddik was 32 years old then. He was a little kid, Nar. You know why he was called Nar? Rashi says because when Yosef Tzaddik was in the jail, he was always dancing and singing. What is a kid? A kid has no issues. He's always dancing and singing. Everything's good. Yosef Tzaddik was on a level that he trusted Hashem and he looked for the Nekurah and everything. So everything was always good. You never saw the bad. He said the Nekurah always saw the good. That's Yosef Tzaddik. And when a person comes into Nekurah, what happens to him? Something Mel Piteva. He goes all the way up. Yosef Tzaddik, the second after he came up, he became Melech. It's all remes to Ruchni, we know. That's the Nekurah Tova. That's the Indian Nekurah Tova. Nekurah Tova takes us and we find and we all look in the good. And that's also so many rabbis say to stop dealing with the bad, look for the good. And the Melo Dr. Beinu in Chaim Aran. Exactly, singing and dancing, that's what the Rebbe says. That's Bechin of Nar. It's all good, clapping, smiling. Dr. Beinu, that's what in Rabbeinu writes in Chaim Aran. Just continue doing the good. Dr. Nosson in Kutei Tfilis and Olam Truth and in many places they bring. Nosson said Rak Azamra. Always you say Rak Azamra. Always say Azamra because Nosson knew this gets a person through everything. It's Azamra and Kutei Tfilis finding the good. Dr. Nosson, the Rebbe always told me that the whole chis in life is based on Azamra. You see Pasha after what we just spoke about. You see Pasha. There's no question about it. Azamra with Aye, it's one thing we said, but Kutei Tfilis. You know, somebody told me today that he did an Aveira, and after months of being very strong in a certain situation, and he fell in this situation. And why am I saying this? Because you see this beautifully. You see, and he tells me that you know he fell and all this and that. And I turned to him, I said, "Give me a bracha. Months you didn't do this Aveira, months, and he fell once. Hashem is smiling at you. What's even the shiloh about it?" And then he turns to me after and he says, "Wow, I didn't fall into Atzvus." That's the Nekurah Tova. He didn't fall into Atzvus. So he's going to take this one time he fell, and he's going to go now with Shem to the rest of his life. And if he falls again, he'll do the same thing. Because who cares if you fall? You care if you fall into Atzvus and you won't be able to get up. That's what you should care. If you fell, the maximum you care about is only that it brings you to tshuva. And then after that, you don't think twice. Because now we just said you're in the Bechel of the Shirish, Ari Hakadosh. You were tzaddikim couldn't stand. That's in your Reish Pebez, that's Azamra. That's Nigunim. Why is this? What's the Lashon of a Chazan, by the way? I was thinking, what's Chazan? We said that Azamra is cutting, it's also Azamra is a song, Chazan. You know where Chazan comes from? What does it say in all Laftaris? Chazan Avadio. And the Nevi'im used to say the vision of Avadio. Chazan. So what is a vision of a Navi? You have to do a singing of a Chazan. Zok, the Svarim HaKadoshim. How did the Nevi'im get their whole Nevuah in the first place? They went out to the field and brought their singing, their music, they brought their klei negina, their utensils of music, their instruments, and through that they got their vision. That's where Chazan comes from. That the Novi, how did he get? He had to go into become into the highest part of Simcha to get. A person can't get anywhere in life without Simcha. Zotar Rizal, why did I get into all the places where I was able to all the Pshitas? Because of my Simcha of Pshitas and Mitzvahs. Memela then. So Chazan is based on Nekurah Tova. What's the Nekurah Tova? The Novi had to go. And what Novi have to do always? He had to be Machzor everybody to Tshuva. So together it fits perfectly. And just Baruch Hashem. What does a Navi do? Navi gets a Nevuah. Either I'm doing great, and he comes, he has to bring the Tshuva. How do you bring the Am Yisrael to Tshuva? To find the good in them. That's why they brought music also, to get the Nevuah, which is all have to do with what? Singing has to do with the Nekurah Tova. That's why we say, call Chazan a Chazan, B'Lashon Chazoin of a vision, because the only vision has to do with the Nekurah Tova and singing. And Biezrat HaShem, to be honest, like we could spend 20 hours and go deeper and have many more Makaymis and many more Chidushin. But for this week, Biezrat HaShem, we got a good covering, and hopefully next week we'll continue. Literally, we won't switch into a different inyan. We'll even go into the next step of Nekurah Tova and dig even deeper. But for now, Biezrat HaShem, Hashem should be mizakas to even once a day, to start once a day to finding two things. To finding the Nekurah Tova in us, and then finding the other person. But it's not two things, it's one thing, but the two steps. And it starts right now, after the shir. Wow, Baruch Hashem, we came together and we gave a shir. Baruch Hashem, we just saw the shir on YouTube. Baruch Hashem this, Baruch Hashem that. That is Nekurah Tova, that's each person. This is falling apart, that's falling apart. But you know what? I did this. Oraganos. Bechin of Oraganos. But that, Biezrat HaShem, we should be zoicher tachlis to Mashiach in the right time. With Amtakas Din, Fu Nekurah Tova, because that's a Bechin of Mashiach. Of a Kol HaTov, a Kol HaTova, Biezrat HaShem, we should scare there.